Britain's mighty Thud, properly called the F-105 Thunder Chief, was one of the most respected battle wagons of the war. Though it had only one engine and one seat, this U.S. Air Force attack fighter was bigger, heavier, and more powerful than many bombers. Thus, it made more attack missions on heavily defended targets in North Vietnam than any other type, and its losses were proportionate to the task done. Some F-105Ds originated from the 34th Tactical Fighter Squadron at Korat Air Base in Thailand. Each aircraft carried 6 M117 bombs, which weighed considerably more than the stated figure of 750 pounds. Thud attacks were conducted against the rail yards at Kep, Viet Tri, and Yen Bai. Typical of the operations flown was a bullpup radio-guided missile strike on a barge located 30 miles northwest of Dong Ha. At the receiving end, every available gun that could be brought to bear was utilized, including a Soviet-supplied DSHK of 12.7 millimeter caliber. As soon as there is a brief lull, all personnel gather the empty casings and carry out essential maintenance on the weapons while fresh ammunition is brought up. In anticipation of further raids, the protective revetment is constructed to be stronger and higher. Water-filled craters gradually became a normal part of the Vietnamese landscape. F-105s targeted the Kep, Khao Nang, and Lang San rail yards north of Hanoi, employing 750-pound GP bombs. A significant amount of flak was returned from 37mm anti-aircraft guns. Once more, the thuds struck a rail bridge in the back Jiang complex, utilizing rockets as well as bombs. In October 1967, the F-105s struck the formidable Doomer Bridge near downtown Hanoi. This impressive bridge had withstood hundreds of assaults, but ultimately succumbed when the precise laser-guided smart bombs of the paveway type were deployed. Airfields have always been a target that nobody could miss. While it is not easy to render a modern permanent airbase unusable, on this occasion the thuds were tasked with striking the large airbase at Phuc Yen. The primary weapons employed were M117 GP bombs, each weighing approximately 825 pounds. This took place in 1967. After 1970, no Thud or anything else would have dared to loiter in this airspace for fear of receiving at least one SAM, surface-to-air missile, up its jet pipe. In turn, the SAM missiles and their storage areas were later targeted by U.S. airstrikes. Probably half of all sorties flown after 1967 were directed against the Ho Chi Minh Trail. This was not just one road, but many, winding their way through neighboring Laos on their journey to South Vietnam. Sophisticated sensors were developed in the Igloo White program to warn of the passage of every truck or even a cyclist. However, navigating the various trails was another matter. In the lowland areas, the trail faced constant assaults. In the highlands, choke points, such as the Mujia Pass, were major targets, as were easily identifiable roads. All types of missiles were fired at these targets in an attempt to close the trail and prevent supplies from reaching the south. Sadly, multi-million-pound supersonic fighters were not the ideal weapons for stopping individuals along paths through the rocky hills and forests. Engagement was easier when the target was visible. Before long, many of North Vietnam's bridges were rendered inoperable. They lacked neat, prefabricated military engineers' bridges. Everything was constructed the hard way, reminiscent of the bridge on the River Kwai. When sections of the Ho Chi Minh Trail were destroyed, immediate detours were created through the surrounding forest to bypass the cratered areas. Yet the one resource readily available to the north was manpower. With the help of both men and women, a local forest could quickly be transformed into a new bridge. Work on the trail or the bridges could be interspersed with fresh attacks, usually by F-4s flying at approximately the speed of sound, at altitudes too high for the barrage of local flak. Nevertheless, even rifles were still brought to bear against them. Rifles would have had even less effect on these monsters.